Hello and welcome to Upcycled Makers Club with the Warren County Library System. My name is Sandy Roberts and I am the Makerspace Coordinator for the Warren County Library. Every week I come to you at 3 o'clock with a fun maker activity where we can create and innovate and design and make something new. This week's theme is International Talk Like a Pirate Day. Arg! On Saturday, it was International Talk Like a Pirate Day, which is a really fun day to just be creative and to maybe step outside our normal lives and do something a little bit fun and fantasy and magical. So on Saturday, we had an International Talk Like a Pirate Day escape room. I hope that you were able to take part in that. If not, I'll be posting the link today, and you can still jump in there and try all those fun activities. But I thought that today would be a great day to make some fun sea creatures using common items that we find around the house. For example, this is my little octopus that I made out of a toilet paper roll. Very, very simple. So I'm going to lead you through how to make this little guy, show you a couple of other ideas that I had as I was playing with materials, and then I really would love to see what you come up with because, it's not like I invented this. I'm sure that you have lots of creative ideas for ways to use materials from around the house to make all kinds of great little sea creatures. And these are fun too, because if you put them on a popsicle stick or on a bamboo skewer, you can use them as a little puppet. If you hang them with a bit of string from a coat hanger, you can make a mobile. So with very inexpensive materials from around the house, you can have a lot of fun and make something really cool to decorate. And this is a great project to do as a family, everybody adding their own unique elements. So that's what we're going to do today, something kind of crafty and cool. And then next week we'll be coming back with some cool fall art projects, a little bit of magic marker tie-dye and things like that. So it's going to be pretty exciting. All right, so what do we need today? Let's get started with some of our materials. And just a reminder, I am following along on my cell phone. Let me make sure sound is coming in well. That sounds good. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them, okay? So our basic materials today. Oh dear, a lot of stuff today. You're gonna need, obviously, some toilet paper tubes, okay? I like to use some glue for this. You can use white glue. I like glue sticks. If you prefer, tape will work. Okay, any kind of tape will work. You can even use a stapler for some of this. So you're gonna need that. You're gonna need a good pair of scissors. Okay, we're gonna be doing a lot of cutting today. Obviously, I've got some googly eyes. I also suggest a pencil and a ruler because I just used construction paper to color this guy, so you're going to want to cut a piece of paper that matches the size of your tube, and a ruler and a pencil will come in handy for that. I'll show you how. And as I said, I just used some construction paper, okay, basic construction paper. Scrapbook paper would work, colored copy paper will work. If you don't have paper around the colors you want, markers, I've got my washable markers. I've also got my permanent markers. Crayons will work, or you could just get out the paints and go ahead and paint them. This is really versatile, and you can have a lot of fun with how you decorate your items. So, whatever craft supplies you have on hand, you can make it work. And I think that's really everything you need for the base project today. I also like to keep around some rubber bands because when we measure these legs, a rubber band around the outside of the tube makes it really easy to trim. I'll show you that too. Now, once we finish our base project, I'm just going to put all my supplies over here where we'll be working in a moment. Where's my paper? So once you kind of start looking around the house, though, you're going to find a lot of other items that you might want to grab as you start getting creative. For example, bowls and plates, especially ones that maybe this one's gotten banged up, it got dropped on the floor, no one's going to want to eat with that, or maybe one that you've used to hold craft supplies in. Cereal boxes and cracker boxes are really good cardboard sources that you can paint or color lots of different things. Paper egg cartons and plastic egg cartons. I'm actually thinking these would be great for little whales or turtle head or even a little man of war or a jellyfish. And then, some ribbon if you want to make some tentacles, maybe that are for like a squid that are really fun. I've got all kinds of different ribbons sitting around. Somebody gave me this giant roll of ribbon. I've got to find something to do with that. And if you don't have ribbon, yarn is great, and it comes in lots of colors. I always have some kind of yarn sitting around the house. These decorative scissors are also really great. I'm going to use them, and I'll show you how to use these to cut shark teeth for one of our projects. Okay, so those are some ideas of other materials that you can have around the house that will help you get creative, because this isn't just about creating the little octopus I'm showing you today. This is about taking the idea and saying, what other shapes can I imagine? What other creatures can I make? How can I use this basic technique to make something new? Because that's what makers do. We take ideas, we mash them all together, and we come up with something new and exciting. Okay? So why don't we learn how to make this basic project, and then we'll talk about ways that you could take it to the next level. All right, I'm going to switch cameras, and we will get started on that. Taking my microphone over. This is the part I always forget, is remembering to actually make sure that I have a microphone over here, because I don't have like a lapel mic or anything. All right, so looking at my supplies, I've got my paper. I'm just going to go ahead and make another blue octopus so they match. I've got my googles, my rubber band. Just kind of getting all my supplies together here. All right, so the first thing I'm going to want to do is cover my toilet paper tube. Now, like I said, you can paint this if you like. I like to spray paint these if you're going to do a whole bunch of them. Like if you want to make decorations, maybe you have an event coming up, like a birthday party at home, or you want to decorate your room or something like that. You may want to just go ahead and like paint a bunch of these, spray paint them with a parent's help. You can also paint them with acrylics, with washable paint, anything you want. And like I said, markers, any kind of paper. But to measure out paper, here's the trick I've kind of learned. All right, I am going to hold my, let's make sure you can see that. Yep, I'm going to hold my toilet paper tube on my paper, and I'm just going to mark a line right at the edge of that paper inside the tube. And I'm going to do that on both sides, right where the edge of the paper is. Let's see if we can find it. If I didn't put my glasses on, I probably should have. I'm going to do that right now, actually. Where are my glasses? There we go. Okay, so now I've marked inside my tube, if you can see that. A little mark on both sides. And I'm going to use this to help me figure out how long my paper needs to be. I'm also going to take my pencil, I'm going to mark the edge of the tube on the paper. Okay, so I know how wide my paper needs to be. Line that line up again with the edge of the paper, and now I'm just going to roll my tube carefully, keeping it lined up with the other edge until that line I drew comes back down to the bottom. That's when I know I've hit the length I need. And I'm going to just mark on my paper both of those spots. And I'm going to mark, make sure it's lined up, the edge of my tube again. Now I've got a basic idea of where how big I need to make my paper. So I just line up the lines on the side. I'm going to line these up, and it looks like I might have been a little off. So I'm going to go with the longer one, because I found that is generally, it's better to have too much paper for this than not quite enough. Okay, so that's the basic piece of paper I need. Now, what I usually do is I cut a little bit bigger than this piece of paper. So I'm just going to cut on the outside line, about 1/4 of an inch, maybe 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch bigger than my mark. Because I'd rather, again, have too much to cover my toilet paper tube than not enough. Okay, got my paper, I've got my tube. I am going to take my glue, and I'm just going to put it all over the inside here, especially paying attention to my edges. Now, this technique I've also used in my candle project, our light up candle project that we've done. That's a great one for the holidays, the winter holidays. Fun for Halloween too. I was thinking of doing some Halloween lanterns. I think that'll be fun. Okay, and I'm just rolling my tube, my paper around my tube. I'm going to hold that tight. Now, normally I would give this a couple minutes to dry nicely, so I know that it's all attached really well. But, you know, you don't want to sit around watching glue dry, right? It's probably not a whole lot of fun. So I'm just going to press it really well. Luckily, this glue dries pretty quickly. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to want to cut my little tentacles. Now, technically, there should be 8. Okay. Let's see. How well did I do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I did 9. Oops. I'll be more careful this time. So remember how I mentioned the rubber band? This is optional. You can just use your ruler to measure. You want to get about 3/4 of the body to be, 2/3 to 3/4 of the body, you want it to be your octopus. So if you measure that, this is about 4 inches. So I'd do maybe 1.5 inches, okay, as my head, maybe up to 2 inches. I think 1.5 inches looks pretty good. Okay, and then mostly tentacle. What I like to do is just take a rubber band and just kind of put it around the body where I think it looks good, and just kind of tighten that down. And that's a nice, easy way to make sure I'm cutting to the same length each time. But you can just measure and draw a line if you'd rather. That works too. Okay. I'm just going to kind of figure out where I want the front of my octopus to be, and just cut straight up and make sure I don't cut through my rubber band. Again, you can measure out your tentacles all the way around and make sure that they're nice and even. I'm kind of winging it. Maybe that's a mistake. I don't know. I think I'm going to cut the opposite side as well. And then I'm going to endeavor to do, I'm just keeping my rubber band in place, so I'm cutting to the same spot. Okay. I'm going to try and do 4 on each side. I'm not going to be too picky about it. I'm not feeling picky today. Some days I feel pretty picky about it. Today, not as much. And it's really up to you. It's your octopus, your fun creation. And there we go. Okay, so they're all about the right length. Take off my paper clip, my rubber band. Now, I left these squared, but there's no reason that you can come in here and just give them a little curve if you want to finish them off and make them look really nice. See, you can curve them like that. I'm going to go ahead and do that for a couple of these, just to give you the idea of what that looks like. Okay, so you can have fun with that. Make it look really neat. Now, to get them to spread out, you're just going to pull each one up, and you can see why sometimes it's better to give my paper a little time to dry because it's folding in a little weird way. But for the purposes of this, and then I just kind of press it down onto my table, make sure it's really flared out, and then I take each one and roll it up on the end. So it kind of looks like he's waving his hands at you. Right? Just looking. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. So I just kind of roll those up and then shape it as you like. Toilet paper rolls, pretty forgiving. So you can see that's how they look. Now I'm just going to get my googles, my eyes, pick 2 that I like, and glue them right onto my face. Right, like that. If you guys have ever watched crafts with me before or come into the makerspace, you know, as far as I'm concerned, Google eyes make everything better. I love googly eyes. I don't know. They make me smile. So I tend to use them whenever I can find an excuse to do so. Okay, so there we go. We've got our Google eyes on now. And then we're just going to get on our markers and give him a little face. So where are my markers? I'm just going to grab a blue one and give him a little smile like that. Okay? And that's your basic little toilet paper tube octopus. But we don't have to stop there, right? We can take a look at these materials and say, what other cool things can we come up with? So I'm going to put him aside for now and grab another couple tubes. So say I want to make a bunch of fish. This is a really cool one because you can do a ton of these and hang them and they look really neat. And if you have like some green crepe paper or strips of fabric, you can hang that kind of like a seaweed and make a whole cool mobile out of it. So to make our little fish, this is pretty easy. We're going to cut our toilet paper tube. You might want to cover it with paper and color, or you might want to do that after. I'm going to do mine just plain for the sake of time. I would normally wrap paper on this. Okay, so now I would measure it just like we did before and wrap it in paper, just like I showed you. And once you have it wrapped in paper, I'm just going to come here and cut a little triangle. Can you see how that's shaping up already? That's going to be his little mouth. Okay. Now maybe I want to, I can shape this a little bit if I want to, or I can just use the other half of my toilet paper tube and cut a triangle from that. I didn't do a great job on that triangle, but, and I can just tape that onto my little fishy back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold a tab. You see how I just did that? Folded a little bit of it in. And then I can use glue, or in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and use a little bit of invisible tape. I'm going to put on that tab like that. And then that gives me the chance to stick that on kind of a little bit more 3D onto the back of my fish to give him or her. I'm thinking Nemo. For some reason, Nemo from Finding Nemo is in my head. That's what I'm thinking of, so I would make this orange. So there we go. Now he's got a little fishy tail. And I could just use the little triangle from my mouth, right, to give him a little fishy fin. So maybe I'll just use a bit of glue for that. And I might just fold it out again, right? And I could use tape for this too if I wanted to. Stick that on. And again, you'd want to color all this as you're going. And last but not least, because as I said, I like Google eyes, I'm going to give him an eye. So that kind of folding your paper gives you the opportunity to make it a little more 3D. Okay? And there you go. So you can make a bunch of these really quickly, right? And have a really fun school of fish. And if you wanted, you can make all kinds of different shapes for your fins. They don't have to be triangles. You can get creative with that. And you can make these sparkly. You can go crazy with decorating them. So that's a simple fish that you can do with the same technique. Now, I promised shark, right? Yeah, got to do a shark. So, shark, you're going to want a nice big mouth. We're going to use, sharks have a longer body, right? So, let's go ahead and I'm going to cut a pretty big mouth here so we can fill it with teeth. Ta-da! Like that. Oh, it's a pretty dangerous looking mouth, right? He's going to need a back fin as well. And we can just use some leftover cardboard from this tube. And that will work very nicely in there. We'll just use a bit of tape to place that in. That was probably more tape than I needed for that. But that's okay. I'm going to do this. Yeah. Tape. And we're just gonna put that where we like it. And again, you would paint this or cover it with paper as you desire. Now, we're gonna wanna get a nice fin up here. We're gonna use the same kind of technique that we did before, just use the bit from the mouth, right? And we're gonna just, I'm gonna fold it right in half, like that. And, oops, I want to go the other way actually. Forgot what side I was working on. Use a little bit of glue. And I'm using the glue and tape pretty interchangeably here. It's really just up to you what you find convenient. I'm going to glue my little fin onto the top because you've got to have that classic shark fin, right? And you can make that bigger or smaller. That's really just up to you. I'm going to actually go ahead and throw some glue on this because this is not sticking as well as I'd like with the tape. Sometimes you just got to go for the glue. I'm going to stick that in there and give him that fin, his dorsal fin and his tail fin. Now, I mentioned that you want to put in some teeth. So, I have these decorative scissors, okay? And they make a kind of triangle pattern. And then I'm just going to grab, where is it? Some white construction paper. And I'm just going to cut a nice little strip using my decorative scissors. If you have pinking shears, they're called, for sewing, they would work too. But I know lots of folks have sets of these fun decorative scissors around the house for like scrapbooking and craft projects. So they're really convenient to have. I think that's enough. I should probably measure, but I'm just kind of giving you the basic idea here. I know that you are creative and you're going to go crazy and do fun things with this. So, all right. And I'm just eyeballing it. You can be very careful and make sure that you measure. But I'm taking that piece that I've cut with the decorative scissors. And I'm going to just glue it right on in there to give my shark some teeth. I'm going to do that on both sides of his mouth. There we go. That looks pretty scary, doesn't it? There's some sharp teeth there. You know what? I feel like he needs another fin here. So I'm going to go ahead and just, take another little piece of my leftover cardboard. And this is what I mean. You might want to get some pictures from the internet, see what looks good to you, right? And add accordingly. Just basic geometric shapes. You know, it's nothing scary. Let's see what I've got in the Googles here. What kind of eyes do I have that would look good? I'm looking for something that's like red or kind of scary. I don't think I have anything like that though. Do I have a red eye? Ha ha ha, I did find a red eye. Right? And just, there we go. Now we've got a fun little shark. I guess he wouldn't kind of bubble. So there we go. We've got a shark and we've got our little fish. Oh no, the shark is going to get the fish. Ah! Okay, so those are some things that you could do with the toilet paper rolls. You know, and think about other things like squid would work. You know, lobsters you could probably do. There are all kinds of different shapes that you can come up with. One other thing I want to show you, as I mentioned, egg cartons, right? These are great to make heads for things, but I like jellyfish. I don't know what some of your favorite sea creatures are, but jellyfish are one of my favorite sea creatures. I think that they're just really beautiful. So I'm going to take one of these egg carton bits. If I had the plastic kind around, that would be really neat. I think if I put like, because this one's a little tough, but if I put maybe some paint on the inside of a plastic one. That'd be really neat. If you have the foam kind sitting around, they'd work just fine for this. So I'm just going to kind of trim. You know, you got to look at the materials and say, what does this make me think of? You know, what kind of creature does this make me think of? And this one just made me think of like a man of war or a jellyfish. So again, I'd want to color him up. This I'd probably paint because it'd be tough to cover with paper. Gonna throw some eyes on him. I really do look for any excuse to use the Googles. You know that. I'm going to wait actually on the eyes. First, I'm going to put his little tentacles on. And what I was thinking would be really cool for this is some of this kind of ribbon, right? Because what's fun about this kind of ribbon is we can just cut a lot of it really easily. So I'm just going to fold it back and forth like this. You can make the tentacles as long as you want. Actually, I'm going to make them really quite long because I think that'll be really dramatic. Ribbon would work. Yarn will work. String will work. Ripped up fabric will work. If you have some old plastic bags that you can't recycle because maybe they're damaged or ripped or something like that, that will totally work. So you can really get creative with this. What do you want to use for your tentacles here? I'm just going to go with some of this. Again, I'm just giving you an idea. You may want to go way bigger with this. Just going to cut that like that. There we go. And then, where's my glue? Couldn't be easier. A little bit of glue on your ribbon and just stick it on the inside of your egg carton like that. And if this particular ribbon I'm using right now is curling ribbon, so I can make these really curly if I wanted to. Oh no, I've got cardboard stuck to my glue. Okay, there we go. And you can see I'm just kind of adding them in here. I'm not being real worried about exact placement or anything like that. Just kind of having fun with it. Sticking them in there. Just to kind of bring out the body. And you can make them different lengths too. You don't have to make them all the same length. And what the easiest thing to do is just as you're sticking them in there, you can stick some up higher and some a little bit lower, and that will kind of naturally vary the length of the tentacles and just give it a little bit more interest. Like that. Sticking that one in. All right, so you get the idea. And I could go really crazy, add all kinds of colors. And like I said, this one would be cool to do with a clear plastic, I think, and paint on the inside, kind of give it almost an iridescent look, which jellyfish often have. And you could have a lot of fun with paint that way. But yeah, just give him some Googles, and there we go. Oh no, he lost a tentacle. Get back in there. You're not supposed to do that. But yeah, there you go. Now imagine maybe making a walrus head using something like this, right? You could have a lot of fun with this. It's just actually very, I'll be honest, it's kind of just relaxing sitting here and sticking the ribbon in. Oh dear. If I'm gentle with it, I'm making a bit of a mess of him. Maybe I was being overzealous with that last piece of ribbon. There we go. So there we go. There's our little bit of a jellyfish. I like him. Very fun. Last one, and then we'll wrap up. Sea turtle, right? So I was looking at this, and this made me think of the back of a sea turtle, like a big shell. And then I was thinking I could just take a toilet paper tube like this, right? And cut it into 4 pieces. I'm just kind of squeezing it and cutting it. And I'm going kind of quickly. You may want to be more precise with yours and make them all nice and neat. But I was thinking that these would make really great legs, right? That I could glue on like that, or staple. This would be one of those times it might be really great to bring out the stapler. I'm going to go ahead and just use a bit of masking tape and see if I can get them to stay on nicely. And I'd probably want to paint the shell first. And that's a great opportunity to learn about some of the different patterns, the geometric patterns that you see on turtles, what colors they use. really fun opportunity to tie in a little bit of biology there, right? Learn a little bit about our natural world as we're creating some art based on it. So there we go, just a little tape like that. Stick all my legs on. And I'm just kind of putting it through the loop. You could probably put it over the loop if you wanted to. I want to try and give it a little bit of lift, so he kind of looks like he's coming up off the ground a little bit. Like I said, this is a really good spot to use a stapler. I just don't happen to have one on me. I don't know where it went. Probably to my kids' room for school supplies. That's my guess. That's usually what happens. We only have one stapler in the house that doesn't move around, and that's my husband's stapler. It stays on his desk in his office. It is a red swing line stapler, for those of you that catch that movie reference. So we don't mess with it. Anyway, there we go. We've got our little legs on. Mine are not very even. I'm sure you'll do a better job. Now we need a head. A lot of different things you could do here. If you have a cup, you could use a small cup. I'm just going to go ahead and use another one of these egg carton bits. Oh dear, my supplies are falling all over the place. I'm just going to trim that out, make it kind of neat looking. And there are a lot of different things you could use for this. You could cut another paper plate to make a little head for him. Get creative, have fun with it. Kind of shaping it a little bit as I go. There we go. That's where his little head will go. I'm just going to use a quick piece of tape right now to attach that. I'd probably, again, use a stapler or stronger glue. This might even be a chance to, if you're comfortable with hot glue, to take out some hot glue and use that. Okay, he's shaping up. I don't like this leg. It's bothering me that this leg is not even. I'm going to take it off. I'm going to fix it. As they say, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. That's a little better. He still needs work, but you know what? And just because I think, yeah, we're getting a little long on our time there, I'm just going to give him some marker eyes rather than sticking on some Googles right now. But there you go. That's a, oops. I didn't do a good job of attaching his head. So you'd have to get that stuck on really well. There you go. And that's your basic turtle. So those are some ways to use upcycled materials to make ocean creatures. Back over to the other camera. Whew, I've got quite the mess here, but that's always a sign of a good program, right? So that's basically how you can take some common household items, create fun little sea creatures. Get out your computer, get out a book, take a look at what kind of different animals live under the sea. There are all kinds of fish, right? There are cephalopods. There are, sharks, which are actually in the fish family. You could make whales, dolphins. You can make eels. Eels. You could even try to make sea coral using, these, something like egg carton. So you can get really creative and have a lot of fun with that. Now, I've got stuff everywhere. Now, if you go ahead and create, we would love to see what you make. And I have made a very special digital wall for all of us to share our creations. And the website is padlet.com/WCLmakers. And it is a moderated site where you can post pictures or videos of the things that you've made. You can see what other people have made and like their creations. So it's just a fun way to connect with one another and show off all your cool creativity. So take a look at that. Also, on Wednesdays at 1:30, I'm hosting Makers Lunch Bunch every week. You can register, come on into Zoom, meet other makers, show off the things that you're creating and making, and ask any questions. If you have any questions about recent projects or just anything that you're working on, I will do my best to help out. So those are two great ways to connect with us. Now, make sure that you are paying attention and checking out our website on a regular basis, warrenlib.org. We've got lots of fun events up there, so definitely take a look at that. We've got music, there's face painting, watercoloring, watercolor painting, music events, story times, STEM, coding, entrepreneurship, just a wide variety of projects. I know we've got a ton of great fun stuff planned for Halloween next month. So that calendar is being regularly updated. Make sure you check it out. And if you haven't already, download the Warren County Library app. That way you can easily access all of these things on your phone, okay? Now, I will be posting in the comments about our Talk Like a Pirate pirate-themed escape room, which you can do for a lot of fun. It's got 10 different puzzles for you to solve, some trivia, and some lingo for pirates. So make sure you take a look at that. All right, that's about all the time we have. Thank you so much for stopping by today. My name is Sandy Roberts. I'm with the Warren County Library System, and it's so good to be able to connect with you online. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep making. All right, take care.